Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Podcast Action Committee episode, 156. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, everybody.
We
This
are.
makes.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that 156. That is actual 3 years worth of videos. Once a week. That's 3 years worth. It's quite a feat there.
I think we started in the spring, so I think we missed a few weeks there. We have missed a couple of various holidays and stuff, but.
Yeah, we've had a few weeks off here and there, but yeah, it's just this is official 3 years worth of videos, or 3 years worth of podcasts.
Yeah, so yes. So this week it's back to basics for us. A standard format for the show. It's just Zachary and myself and our lovely chat peoples. And I'll try to remember to keep an eye on YouTube. Anybody? No? Good. Okay. I think 3 of the last 5 episodes of Super Podcast Action Committee, there's like a dead stuffed animal on the floor there. 3 of the last 5 have been nearly 2-hour episodes with a bunch of guests talking about SPJ Airplay. And while those were actually our most popular, or at least highest viewed shows, some people have been contacting me and saying, I'm feeling airplay fatigue, my friend. So, yeah, we're done with airplay. Airplay's over. So we'll be chatting for the first 15-20 minutes, and then we'll move into the poll. And we have a bunch of fun topics to talk about today, including answering some of the Twitter questions and comments that I received about my Huffington Post appearance earlier in the week. The rest of the comments I will try to address in a YouTube video, a forthcoming YouTube video, and I'll try to do that tomorrow, but I'm like playing Shantae and the Pirate's Curse right now, and it's really good, and I may not want to spend the entire day on that video. So,
all right.
That's what I've been playing. I think I started it last night or Thursday night or something like that. Thursday night, I think. This is the 3rd game in the series, and it's the first one I've played. And I bought it on on sale. Nintendo had a eShop sale a little while back, so that was one of the games I picked up. And I started it, and oh my gosh, is it charming and fun! It is really, really good. All my problems with the game are small nitpick things, like there's no prominent sound effect when you pick up gems, the currency of the game. You know how in there's the classic coin sound in Mario, and when you play the Lego games, the studs have that chuck 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 kind of sound.
Yeah.
When you pick up gems, there's almost no sound, so there's no. It's not as fun to pick them up because there's almost no sound effect there. There's also no warning sound effect when you're about to die. Like in Zelda, when you're down to a few hearts, it goes beep, 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 beep. And it's really annoying, but it tells you that you're about to die. I've died a couple times in Shantae just because I was running around recklessly, and some guy one-shots me, and I went, I guess I was low on health and just wasn't paying any attention. But
it's something like that.
You
definitely need some kind of feedback, whether it's audio or video, preferably both if you can do it. But yeah, it's like Zelda had the beep 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 beep. Mario, you're little Mario, and that if you get hit once, you're dead.
Yeah.
And then other games I've seen, where it's like, they'll put like a flashing red, glowy effect on the character. If you're
well, to be fair, Shantae, when she's down to her last heart or less than a heart, each heart is 4 hits, so there's 4 pieces of each heart. So if she's less than, so if she has 3 hit points or less, her character model is damaged. Kind of like how the Resident Evil characters start to limp and drag their feet when they're damaged. She's holding her arm, and her outfit is tattered. Unfortunately, when you get later into the game, enemies do more than do a heart or more of damage. So occasionally I'll just get one-shotted. I'll be like, "Oh, I was low on health. Oops." But
I think with that it should be percentage based, because if you're getting if enemies are doing more damage, then yeah, you need the input or the feedback earlier, so it should change to like 2 hearts worth of health.
Yeah, but these are minor, small little nitpicks. The game is really wonderful. I'm really liking it. It's originally a 3DS game, and it's interesting because I'm playing the Wii U version, and they redid all the menus. And when you talk to characters in the game, you have the little sprites down here bouncing around, but then you have art that comes in off the side of the screen to represent each character, and they talk to each other. The art just kind of slides in on the sides. These art pieces right here were all redrawn in HD, and all the menu stuff is in HD, which is nice. They didn't redraw the whole game like they did for Mighty Switch Force, which is a shame, but it's still a gorgeous sprite work. Animation's great. It's fine. So really liking that.
Yeah.
You playing anything interesting there, Zachary?
Well, I started playing. Started working on Beyond Good and Evil again. I got into the Slaughterhouse, which is the third main area of the game, and I don't know how far into it I am. I haven't gotten into any boss battles or anything, but I've been exploring that. I was hoping to be able to play some more today, but didn't have time because I want to get because it's the Slaughterhouse and then the Moon Base, and then the game's over, and so hopefully I can get that done this next week or so. I did have a really, really frustrating day with Minecraft earlier this week. I went to play Minecraft, and it locked up my computer. It's like I loaded up my game save, and then started to go, and then it just locked up my computer, and so I had to hard shut down my computer. And when I got back in, my save file was corrupted. And it's like I load up the game
from a previous save, or start from scratch.
There is no start from a previous save, and I haven't backed up. I didn't back up any of my levels or any of my save files, so it's like Minecraft just auto saves on a frequent basis, and so it's like there's no quit without saving, so you can go back to a previous save in there. But so my save file was corrupted, and I loaded up the game, and it just didn't show up in the menu. And so I looked in the actual save folder, and there were my save files, but the DAT files were corrupted. And so I looked online to see if there was a way to restore a save file, and I found some instructions on the Minecraft wiki, and I was like, okay, this is worth a shot. So I try it out, and I get basically you create a new save file, just a brand new world and everything, and then you just copy the .dat files over into your other save file, which it warns you that it's going to have some negative effects on your character, your play, and everything because of this. And so I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. And so I load up my save file after copying those files over, and my character spawns in the middle of the ground, like there's nothing but ground around me, and so I like suffocate and die, and then I respawned like a couple of miles away from my castle, and I start making my way back to my castle, or trying to find my castle, because I had absolutely no idea where I was, and I came across like a bunch of like cubed cut out sections of the world. So like I'd come to this big hole in the shape of a cube. I'm like, that's really weird. And so I'm like, okay, and I finally stumbled across some terrain that I actually recognized, and found my way back to my castle. And I'm like, all right, my castle's still here. And I go into my castle, and I start exploring and restocking my items because my inventory's gone and everything, and so everything was looking all right as I was doing this. And then I went to go to my bedroom, the bedroom that I created, and I opened the door to go in there, and I'm immediately met with this big wall of dirt. And I'm like, where did this come from? There's just this wall of dirt in this room where my throne room was. And so I start digging around in there, trying to find my way around this, and I finally make it through. And it's like this wall of dirt was actually a big cube of dirt that was just replaced a big chunk of the center of my castle. It's like my entire throne room, the dungeon underneath it, the 2 rooms above the throne room, and a lot of my my bedroom. I had a 3-story bedroom, and a lot of that was just replaced by a big chunk of dirt. And luckily my bed was still where it was, but that was about it. And then it's like there's a game, or there's a type of chest in there where it's like, if you play on a multiplayer server or something, you can store your stuff in this chest and nobody else can get it. Well, all of my stuff was gone. There's everything that I had in there was gone. My son has a theory that because I copied some files over from this other save file, the game is treating me like a totally different character. So my stuff is probably still in there, but because I'm a new character, as far as the game save is concerned, then I can't access my stuff, which really sucks because I had some good stuff in there. But I had completely built my castle, and I was in the middle of decorating it. I just, and so a lot of the decorations that I built are gone now. I had tons of armor that I looted from monsters on display, and all that's gone now. And so I'm really upset and frustrated and almost ready to just start a new game over. But at least not everything is completely destroyed. I just got to rebuild, like a 40 by 40 by 40 chunk of my castle. Which is a good sized chunk, but at least the areas where all of my stuff is, like my armory and my enchanting and potion rooms and all that stuff, those are all still fine. It's just that center area of my castle is completely destroyed. But yeah, that really sucked, and I was very upset that day. Yeah.
Well,
that's my gaming week.
Cool. So I've actually been able to take a few games off of the fabled For Everything But Wii U list.
Oh yeah, were they canceled? Because that seems to be the only way you can take games off, is if the game is canceled.
Well, it's a couple different things. Mortal Kombat X was canceled for the PS3 and 360, so that's comes off the list because it's no longer for the PS3 and 360.
Is that just PS4 and Xbox One?
So it's just PS4, Xbox One, and PC, I believe. But Telltale told The Verge this week that Minecraft Story Mode will hit the Wii U.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're actually getting one.
The Wii U is actually getting a Minecraft, and a game is actually coming off the list because it's actually coming to the Wii U.
Yeah,
that's a first.
Does not happen very often. I actually removed 2 other games: Professional Farmer Sim Arcade 2016 and Professional Lumberjack Sim Arcade 2016, as a Bandai Namco press release showed the game coming to everything but 360. Under the names Professional Farmer and Lumberjack 2015 or 2016.
So are those coming to the Wii U, or is it just they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're actually hitting the Wii U and the PS3, but not the 360.
Huh? So the list of everything but for everything but the 360 now has 2 games on it.
No, actually, everything but 360 has maybe a dozen and a half games, something like that.
Okay.
Let me take a quick gander. Let's see how many, because I've been keeping this stuff up to date. Let's see. So for everything but PS3 is 6 is 9. For everything but 360 is 6, 9, 12, 13. Oh goodness, about 35.
Oh wow, that's more than I thought it would.
Yeah. Mostly, looks like Curve Studios is on there a lot. Looks like a bunch of Mousecraft, Lone Survivor, Ollie Ollie, The Swapper, Thomas Was Alone, Stealth Inc. 2, all Curve Studios games, coming to just about everything but 360. So it's a lot of indie games. Oddworld New and Tasty has been on there for forever.
It sounds like from what I understand is of this current generation, or well, I guess the last generation and this generation, Microsoft is the least friendly towards indies.
Yeah.
Sony and Nintendo have been doing a lot to court indies the past couple of years. So.
Yeah. Cube, Swords and Soldiers, Tokitori, Shovel Knight. Yeah, quite a few.
Shovel Knight's getting an amiibo. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. And as I posted on Twitter, nothing kills my excitement for a game than amiibo. Or rather, locking content behind behind the figurine. Now, the thing about this is here's the thing. Shovel Knight costs $20, but actually I think they're including a soundtrack, so they just up the retail price. The game at retail is going to be $24.99. Amiibos, I think, cost $13.99. So if you look at it as DLC, which is a fine way to look at it, that's pretty damn expensive.
Yeah, it is.
For the Shovel Knight amiibo unlocks a 2-player mode, so a 2-player cooperative mode, which I believe is exclusive to the Wii U version. Some costume accoutrement, maybe. It says some I don't know if you can play dress up with Shovel Knight or not. Something like that, like costume pieces or something. Character customization, something. And new challenge levels, whatever those are. It's like, for $15, I mean, I know you get a figurine for it, but I don't care about a figurine. If it was like, you could buy the amiibo and now you have an awesome figurine that unlocks this stuff, or you could pay $2 or $3 for downloadable content. But I'm wondering if the Nintendo version will have any free extras like the Sony and Microsoft version does, because the Microsoft version has the Battletoads thing, and the Sony version has the Kratos fight. Nintendo has some exclusive content too, but it's going to cost you $15.
I saw a number of posts, speculating that Shovel Knight would be coming to Smash Brothers, but I doubt that. Doesn't seem like it's it doesn't seem like it's in Nintendo's. Nintendo has no interest in bringing characters from indie games into Minecraft or into Smash Brothers, but that'd be kind of interesting.
As an assist or a trophy or something, sure, but as a full character, I would be surprised. I would welcome it, but I would be surprised.
Yeah, it would be cool. I think that would be an awesome thing, for Nintendo to do for an indie developer. But yeah, I just don't think that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, and Nintendo actually just had in front of PAX a Nintendo Indies thing where they talked about a bunch of upcoming indie games, many of which I've played some demos for, and they do. There's some good stuff there. Hive Jump, I think, was the one I was trying to remember the name of weeks back when I had played it. It's the little spider tank thing that runs around and shoots in all directions. and that I thought was pretty cute and pretty fun. So, but yeah, I hate Toys to Life. I still have Disney Infinity 2.0 sitting over there, and I've mentioned this before, but I played Skylanders and it's fine. I really hate the Toys to Life model, but the game itself is fine. Disney Infinity looks terrible as a game, so I'm kind of afraid of that.
Disney Infinity gets roundly panned by reviewers and stuff. But
3.0, which is out this week, next week, sometime
something
soon,
like that.
because I've been seeing
Star
the
Wars
reviews
stuff now.
Yeah, is been getting the games appear to be getting better because the reviews have been rather pleasant. I almost wrote a story this week. Here's an interesting factoid, but not quite interesting enough for me to take the time to write a story for Game Politics. I think Wall Street Journal was interviewing the vice president of the Disney Infinity product about Disney Infinity, and the thing that stuck out was they were surprised at their gender demographics. They figured that the gender demographics for Disney Infinity would be something like 70-30 males and females, but they found out it's closer to 50-50, and they were very surprised to see that. And they said that's one of the reasons Ahsoka is one of the... You can play Anakin and Ahsoka in the Disney Infinity 3.0 and other characters if you buy them. And they said that's one of the reasons why we made Ahsoka one of the players you could change. I said, it isn't because she's the co-star of the Star Wars cartoon? That had nothing to do with it? I'm actually kind of surprised. Star Wars Rebels appeared to do really wonderfully its first season. I'm kind of surprised some of those characters didn't launch with it. But
I think the thing is, Ahsoka is a pretty well-established and fan favorite character from Clone Wars.
Yeah, there was Clone Wars. It's like 6 seasons or something, so they're much more known.
Something like that. Yeah. So she is. Yeah, and it's like, I don't need spoilers for Star Wars Rebels, but she shows up in the last episode or the season finale of the first season of Star Wars Rebels. So yeah, and that was just like everybody on the internet was just like, that's totally awesome.
But it's kind of weird to me that this guy said, or seemed to imply, the article didn't have a lot of direct quotes. They were more, the author of the article said, and then the guy was saying things like this. So it might not be this, but what I got from the article was the guy seemed to be implying that, oh goodness, look at this. Our gender demographics are 50-50. We should let's put Ahsoka in there. And because, we've got half our player base are women. So we want a cool woman character as one of the characters, which makes me think, was it going to be Anakin and random stormtrooper dude? I mean,
they usually lead off the generation, 1.0 and 2.0 with major characters. It's like it was like Iron Man and Hulk or something like that.
Well, that's the thing, though. Ahsoka is a major character. It's not like they're like, oh, crap, we need a female character and had to go digging for one. She's the co-lead of that show, as far as I'm aware.
She is.
So it makes me wonder, it's like, if the gender demographics turned out to be 70-30 like you had initially thought, was it going to be Anakin and a generic stormtrooper guy?
Or Anakin and Yoda or something like that, yeah.
Or Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, yeah. Probably more like Obi-Wan. I think Yoda would be one of those characters they would want to sell as a figure.
Kind of like in the new Super Mario Brothers games, the Wii and the Wii U ones, where they're like, okay, we can have Mario and Luigi and generic blue toad and generic gold toad. It's like, what? At least have regular Toad and Toadette or Toadsworth. You actually have named characters.
I don't know. But yeah, it's with a game like New Super Mario Brothers. It's like that kind of game. You really can't. There's not a giant cast of characters to draw from. Even though it would be cool to see Gino and Mallow show up at some point, but I don't know what the
Mario RPG, and I have no attachment to those characters. If Gino and Mallow never ever show up in my lifetime, that's not going to bother me one bit. That's not to say I don't want them to show up. Stay buried in the past. No, I don't care. It's fine. But those characters never connected. There's so much love for those characters, but they did nothing for me. But then again, Mario RPG as a whole didn't. I liked it. I did, but it's not one of my big, fondly remembered games. So okay, let us. Laxter says maybe they just figured since 99% of people would never play four-player New Super Mario Brothers, that's why they didn't bother with the 2 extra characters. They're just put a couple of Toads in. Who cares? No one's ever going to use this mode anyway.
They should really make a game styled like New Super Mario Brothers, but include Wario and Waluigi, because Waluigi actually needs to be in a real game.
I think he's only ever been in
Mario Tennis and party games. It's like, bring him into an actual game. It's like make him the second player in a Wario game for. It's just like they just say they never use him, and it makes me sad.
Yeah. All right, so let us talk a little bit of news. So the poll this week asked, how do you feel about microtransactions in $60 video games? As you might imagine, what prompted me to write this poll was I was reading some of the early reviews for Metal Gear Solid 5, and everyone was pointing out that it has microtransactions of some sort, which seems kind of skeevy, perhaps, for a full-price AAA $60 game. Like $60 isn't enough for you, Konami? Really? You got to nickel and dime me with the damn microtransactions too. And it's not just Konami. EA,
and that's on top of the $10 and $15 DLCs too.
No doubt,
be coming out with.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so how do you feel about microtransactions in $60 games? We had 327 people respond to our poll. 29%,
which is actually one of our best lately.
That's not too bad. Yeah. 29% said as long as they don't lock out content, I'm usually cool with it. 49%, which was the largest response, said I hate them and I'm not buying your game if you pull that crap. 17% said I don't like them, but I'm willing to put up with them for some games. 2% said I generally don't mind them, and 2% said love them. When done well, they can add more value to a game. So we had 6 people say they loved microtransactions when done well. But we had 160 people, which was nearly half, say I hate them and I'm not buying your damn game if you pull that stuff. So I voted. I think I voted I don't like them, but I'm willing to put up with them for some games. Although I waver kind of between that and as long as they don't lock out content, I'm usually cool with them. I don't really like the idea, but I don't pay $60 for a game anyway. But I have to imagine there's probably some like if The Legend of Zelda, Wii U or NX or whatever it comes out for, had microtransactions in it, I would probably still get it. You would have to have something particularly offensive for me to say, okay, nope, I'm out. Not getting Zelda. So I don't think microtransactions are necessarily a deal breaker for me, but I don't like them.
Yeah. See, I think I'm trying to remember which one I voted for exactly, but I believe I put in that I hate them and I'm not going to buy your game if you pull that crap. But again, I don't pay $60 for games either. It's like the most I paid recently, I think, was $30. But I'm just, I think. With microtransactions being different from DLC, where DLC is just, here's a bunch of levels, or here's a bunch of costumes, or here's a bunch of, an extra character or something like that, and you buy that, that's cool. I like that. That adds extra content. I don't generally buy it because I wait for the Game of the Year edition.
Yeah.
But with with microtransactions, it's more like, oh, you're dying too much? Here, buy a health pack to double your health for 10 minutes. It's like, that's not extra content. That doesn't, that doesn't appeal to me. I think maybe I've played too many free-to-play games on mobile devices, but I'm just like, I suffer through them on mobile devices because the game is free to begin with. So it's like, yeah, they're going to try to bilk me for all that I'm worth, and so I'll just ignore the microtransactions and just suffer through the rest of the content. But when it comes to a game that I've paid outright for to begin with, it doesn't matter what the cost is. I'm less inclined to be to be as dismissive as okay with the presence of microtransactions, because I know that, in a $60 game, if they're charging me, $1.99 for extra health packs or something, that means that they designed the game to kill you more often so that they could bilk you for that $1.99. Yeah. So I'm just like, if you're going to charge me $60 for a game, give me a well-designed game that I'm actually going to enjoy. That's what I want.
Yeah. Laxer's asking if I consider what Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U does as microtransactions. No, I do not. I consider that DLC.
What are they doing?
They have downloadable. They have new characters like Ryu. They also have some costumes and costume packs that you can buy.
Those are DLC.
Yeah, microtransactions I see more as actual consumable stuff. Some like
that would be
potions and buying time and something
in a game like Super Smash Brothers, it would be like, pay $1.99 to get double the number of item drops in a match. That would be a microtransaction.
Yeah, something, but pay that each time.
Each time.
You only have to buy Ryu once. You don't have to buy him every single time you want to play him. So I'm still not totally clear how the microtransactions work in Metal Gear Solid 5. I think they have something to do with the home base stuff, which makes me less inclined to actually play that portion, even though it sounds kind of neat. But a lot of the microtransactions are, you don't want to grind for this stuff, and we put the drop percentages really low. Well, you can buy it. It would be microtransactions would be like buying materials and stuff in Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Instead of going out and farming monsters and rocks.
Or like in an RPG, it's like, paying to reduce the random counter rate for a certain period of time, and then later on they'll charge you to double the amount of experience you gain from battles because you skipped so many random battles earlier in the game. It's like that's the way those things are designed. But.
Yeah, Laxer asks, what if there was a one-time pay $2 for a double rate of items? I would consider that more DLC. I mean, if there was something that you could toggle on and off.
Yeah, that would be DLC because that adds a feature to the game.
Although that's a pretty crap thing to charge for. Just put that in the game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think Nintendo should uncap how they added 200cc to Mario Kart 8. They should uncap that. Just keep cranking it up until the frame rate explodes. It's like 3, 2, 1, go. Wow! Just 1 frame later, and you're in a wall. Just crank it up to 1000 cc. See what happens. Your Wii U may explode, but it would still be great. On the other hand, Mortal Kombat X was doing something like easy fatality mode. I'm not sure if that's a consumable thing, like you have 5 uses of easy fatality, or if you have to buy it for each character, or if you just pay $2 and all fatalities are 2 button presses. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but people were considering that microtransactions. Stuff like that, I don't know. If it's for single player, I don't care. I mean, if it helps you, if you want to pay to win, great. Things like that should definitely stay out of multiplayer.
Yeah. But then again, multiplayer is a very popular place for microtransactions on mobile devices.
Yeah.
which is kind of unfortunate because in those kind of games, you do have pay to win because you got people who they just get in there. They've spent $20, to max out their character, $100 to max out their character, and then they get to beat up all the noobs who are trying to grind their way through the game.
Yeah, it'd be like in Splatoon if you could pay to up your character level, or if you could buy equipment to use for a match or something like that.
Yeah, buy something that increases the spread of your paint, with your gun. That would be that would be pretty terrible. Credit card warriors.
I like that. So, okay, let us move off this topic and on to another one. And what did I have right next? Yes. So, a new character for Street Fighter V was announced. Well, she's actually not a new character. She's a returning character from
Street Fighter 3 Alpha.
3 Alpha, right? Yeah. A game that's overlooked a lot for some reason. I thought it was a pretty solid addition to the Street Fighter games. But Rainbow Mika, the wrestler character with yellow pigtails that come out of the side of her head, and she and defy gravity. Yeah. So she has so she's not exactly luchador, but that type of really over the top, ostentatious, flashy outfit,
flamboyant. Wrestling.
Yeah, very flamboyant, very showy, kind of silly, but then again, the whole game is silly anyway. We were talking about this in the shout box a bit, and overall, let me describe her outfit for you. She is wearing a thong leotard with very deep cut in the chest.
There's a chest on this outfit?
Yeah, well, I mean, she has cups for both breasts, but it's an extraordinary amount of cleavage, and unless she's using NASA grade double-sided tape, she's going to be flying out all over the place. The back is completely open. Under the arms is completely open. I mean, all the way down the side.
Yeah, it's like, it's under here and then all the way down to her pelvic area is completely open. So it's like, under here and then comes down in a V shape down to the panty area. It's
and she has these cutout legging type things, which are hard to describe. I think she has knee-high boots and then kind of a cutout legging thing. And there are some white lacy. It's predominantly blue and white, and she has some white lacy frills around the hips. Overall, I like it. I think it actually works for her character really, really well. Because she has a lot of she has a tag team partner who's constantly coming in and they're doing double drops on people, and she has a Zangief pick them up, spin them around, and drop them. She has a lot of flying wrestler moves. She does this a lot, and she has a mask, which is awesome. So her outfit really complements her personality and her style of play. I do think they go a little overboard with it. For example, there is absolutely no support for her breasts. She is going to fall out. And although that is kind of realistic, because I tell you, I have seen some female wrestlers spend more time stuffing themselves back into their tops than actually wrestling. And I find that kind of annoying. I'm like, wear a different top, you silly person. And also, I have never, I'm sure someone does, but I have never seen a wrestler wear a thong. I'm not saying that it needs to be a full back. It can be a little cheeky, but a full thong that doesn't strike me as something someone would actually wear in a wrestling match or to a street fight. But overall, I like the outfit. One up before let me get to one
go ahead.
thing. One improvement, I think, is while the original outfit, it's very similar to the original outfit. The original outfit was still cleavage bearing, but had more support. It's something she wouldn't have easily fallen out of, which I liked. But I do like the fact that they got rid of the random blue hearts on both her breasts. The original outfit had a blue heart here and a blue heart here. They got rid of that, and I'm glad, because that always stuck out as a sore thumb to me. I'm like, why?
She has no stupid. Yes.
Yeah, she has no heart motif. It's that I thought was a dumb design choice in the first place. So I'm glad they dropped that. But
yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
I had a different reaction. I just think the whole costume is completely obnoxious.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah, I look at this and I'm looking at I'm comparing it to the other female characters in Street Fighter. I think Cammy is probably the one that comes the closest in style and outfit, because she wears that leotard with the camo leotard, and I believe it's also a thong. I can't remember.
Yes, it is. And she paints, and she occasionally paints camouflage stripes on her bare legs. Yeah, wearing tights or something, which is kind of silly.
But I look at these things and I'm like, a real wrestler, a real fighter is never going to wear something like this. But I just, I look at this and I'm like, this is just complete fan service. Even though the outfit does fit the character's motif and everything, but it's like they could have kept the old outfit. The old outfit looks a lot better as far as I'm concerned.
I think so too.
As long as they got rid of the hearts, and then get rid of the thong. That's the thong is just completely stupid. The wrestler's gonna chafe the entire time. But I look at this and I'm like, okay, the past couple of weeks, people have been talking about Ronda Rousey, nonstop. She's the MMA fighter. She's became a champion MMA fighter, but it's like, you look at MMA fighting, you look at even WWE wrestling, the women's wrestling matches, it's like nobody wears anything like this. With the MMA, they do wear the sport top, but it's a very supportive sport top, and then they wear the I don't know what you call them, bicycle short style things, but and that's you look at Ronda Rousey and that yes, she's a very good looking woman, and that's a very practical outfit for what she's doing for for the time. And so it's just I just think this whole thing is obnoxious, and I think Chun-Li is has a way better costume than this, but Chun-Li's costume's been established since the very first Street Fighter. So.
Yeah, hers is pretty neat. The only thing that kind of bugs me is they do depending on which costume you're talking about in which game, but they are like vacuum forming both Cammy and Chun-Li into their outfits. I mean, they're almost painted on. Like, you can see their navel and the individual musculature of their stomachs, and it's like.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, it's crazy, but looking at our Mika's costume, I'm like, this looks like a costume that's more in style for Dead or Alive, fighting that fighting franchise. Is Dead or Alive, is that the correct title?
Probably. There is a Dead or Alive.
Yeah, but it seems to fit that style of game more than Street Fighter. As far as making comparisons to other characters in Street Fighter versus Dead or Alive or something. But I'm looking at this, and in Mika's profile, it talks about how her idol is Zangief, and Zangief, as everybody knows, wears a Speedo and boots, and that's it. It's like, how would people react if Zangief walked into a match wearing a thong Speedo?
He should be in a banana hammock.
With a banana hammock. It's like, how would people react if he showed up like that? Because that's essentially what this is, and this is the woman's version of that.
Yeah, especially when he does the skull crusher. It's like, oh god.
But it's just would people think that Zangief's outfit was was appropriate for his character. Or even, let's go, completely off the wall. But what if, Ryu showed up with in a banana hammock to a match? How would people react to that? Instead of
I could see Vega maybe doing that.
I think Vega
and his mask.
I think Vega might be a little too vain for something like that. But
it's like, no, you're not worthy to see that much of the good. You know which costume what's the right word? I was going to say stress over, but the costume that just makes me do this the most is actually the lead character in Fatal Frame 5. She has, I think she's wearing like a blouse and a skirt or something like that, but she has a single black belt wrapped around her left thigh.
Interesting.
And I don't know why. I look at this character and I'm like, why does she have a belt around her thigh? It's not holding up a stocking. It's not, there's no knife scabbard attached to it. She's not like, holding her billfold there. Someone was designing this character, says, you know what this character needs? A belt around her thigh. Just one. Just the left thigh. And I stare at this character and I'm like, I don't get it. Why is
maybe they were going for a thigh holster for a weapon. Just put a gun on her hip.
Yeah, that would
thigh,
make sense. Like if there were a knife scabbard or
something there,
a utility pouch. But I keep looking at this. I'm like, I don't think it makes sense. So another costume that I've been trolling Metal Gear Solid 5 reviews, looking to see if there's a story explanation, an in-universe explanation for Quiet, the sniper's outfit. For those of you who don't know, Quiet is a female sniper who goes out into the desert to snipe fools wearing a thong, an ill-fitting bra, and ripped tights and boots. An odd choice. And we've known about this character for like 3 years or something like that, and I said I just want to know the in-universe explanation for it, because I'm sure it's stupid, and
because it's intimidating for the people she's sniping from 1,000 yards away.
I guess I'm like, you are gonna burn your butt cheeks in the desert sun, there, young one. I hope you have plenty of sunscreen. Everyone seems to be ignoring it. I found one review that was talking about her outfit and said there is an in-universe explanation, and it's stupid. Didn't say what it was. Didn't
Maybe
say
that's
what
under
it was, but there is an explanation, and it's dumb, which is what I expected it to be. But if anyone wants to tell me what the in-universe explanation for her outfit is, I'd love to know, because I'm dying to know why she wanders around like that. Because it's such a weird outfit. I mean, even listening to Kojima, it sounds like this thing was designed just to dare cosplayers to do it. It's like, I dare you to do it. And to cosplayers' credits, they have with a plum. But it's such a weird outfit. But whatevs. So, one of my favorite, I mentioned this in the Shoutbox, but one of my favorite fighter outfits from of late is Lucky Chloe from Tekken 7, who has almost a goth Lolita looking frilly dress skirt thing, and
then like cat paws.
That's a shrug. I think that's what those small jackets that only come down to here. But it has sleeves that end in cat paws, so she does this a lot. And she has headphones on, pink can headphones on with cat ears on them. And she speaks in broken English. And she has a kind of a capoeira style. Very cool character. I love that outfit and how it works with her character and personality. I think that one is absolutely fantastic. That one's my favorite of late. Probably my next favorite character would be the Street Fighter 4 guy who oils himself up, who dumps like a tub of oil on himself to slide around.
Interesting. I'm
It is
trying
the
to remember
weirdest
what
thing.
character that
I can't
is.
remember his name, but
Yeah. I don't know. I've the only other fighting game that I've played lately is BlazBlue, and they've got some interesting characters in there. There's one character that's another kind of cattish person, and I believe it's actually an actual either a mutant race of human or something like that. But she's has cat paws and a hood with cat ears sticking out of it, but she's actually a fun character to play. That's actually my favorite character to play in
Darkstalkers. What is her name? Someone in the chat. The Darkstalkers cat girl. What's her name? I forget.
That's another one.
Viper said, if you think Quiet's outfit is bad, then you'll faint if you saw Onechambra Z2's DLC outfits. The fruit one? The difference here is Onechambra games are supposed to be that. All of the characters wear fetish outfits. Quiet's outfit stands out in the the heightened realism of
the cat in Darkstalkers.
Felicia, thank you. Yes. Morrigan is the succubus. In Metal Gear Solid, most everyone is dressed how you would expect people to dress, in camo jumpsuits and stuff like that. And then you have everyone is dressed as you would imagine they'd be dressed in these situations. Then you have a woman in her underwear wandering around. You're like, what are you doing? Not that I mind an attractive woman wandering around in her underwear. You stay over there. Just kidding. But it does. Again, maybe the review I read is not giving the in-universe explanation enough credit. And I want to be clear, because I do see this crop up a lot. I don't have a problem with these outfits. I don't care. I'm judging them just. These are just my reaction to them. If you like them, that's great. I don't think you're a bad person.
And the same for me. If you like our Mika's costume and you think it's the perfect costume for a character like that or stuff like that, that's fine if you want to do it. But it's just like that's just not the kind of character that I would play in a game with my daughters hanging around with me. It's just like I like to give them positive role models to look up to. It's like our Mika, if she had if her outfit was a little more modest and practical, I think would be fine.
Really, I think if you made the back fuller and gave her more support up front, it can still be low cut and cleavage bearing. Just something that she would immediately fall out of. I think it would be perfect.
Power Girl, is an example. She has the bust and the cleavage and stuff, but it's not like it's not our Mika cleavage. Yeah.
Although one thing I will say that I really like about the Street Fighter V designs is the women we've seen so far, Cammy, Chun-Li, and Rainbow Mika, are very muscular. And I like seeing that, because you look at the cast of, say, Dead or Alive, and they're built like marshmallows. These do not look like women who could break your face between their legs. You know how Sonya Blade does that inverse scissor kick thing? Yeah. In the movie Mortal Kombat, Bridget Wilson grabs Goddard. What's his name? Something Goddard. Kano. Between her, has his neck between her thighs and is about to break her neck. And you look at the actor's legs and you're like, there is no way she is getting through a neck that thick. And that's a problem I have with a lot of female action heroes is you see a lot of male action heroes and they'll spend 6 weeks getting incredibly fit for a role. Women very rarely do that. And I don't think it's because women are lazy. I think it's because a lot of the money peoples think that muscular women aren't sexy. So I really like the fact that Rainbow Mika is a muscular woman, and so is Cammy, and so is Chun-Li, especially
maybe this is why maybe this is why we can't get She-Hulk into a movie, because the heads of Marvel and Disney just don't think a muscular female character is going to do well. Because you look at you look at Black Widow. She's supposed to be very agile. So she's not going to have a lot of muscle mass. She'll have muscle tone, but not mass. But then you look at Gamora, somebody who's supposed to be strong and powerful. And again, she has no definition.
Yeah,
and
Zoe,
I doubt when we get to Zoe Saldana.
Yeah. She's a
and then when we get to
lithe woman.
Yeah, when we get to Captain Marvel, I doubt we're going to have a lot of muscle definition there either.
Yeah.
But I was going to say something else. But speaking of costumes, one of the things that I like, I'm really looking forward to the Supergirl show that's going to be starting up here in a couple of weeks, and they've already teased out the costume thing, segment of the first episode where she's trying to get her costume. She has her friend helping her, and they go through multiple iterations of costumes, and a lot of them are the really stupid, impractical, sexy outfits and stuff, and then they finally get to her actual costume, and I think that's a really funny segment, and it really works, and her final costume design is really nice.
I don't know. I've seen that scene. I'm like, there's no way she would have walked out of her bedroom wearing that. She would have taken one look at that outfit and said, no, exactly. No, you pervert. I'm not even trying this on. Although I've always found it weird for flying characters wearing skirts. That choice has never worked for me.
Yeah,
although I think she's wearing tights, so tights under her skirt, so that's fine. But it's always struck me as really odd, especially any superhero who's going to be flying to wear a skirt. It's like, hi there. No. Hover all you want. Let me get my phone. Click. Man, I had mirrors on my shoes and I didn't even need them. Click. So, okay, that's enough costume talk. So, let us talk about. Oh, yes, Gal Gun. Have you folks heard of Gal Gun? Oh, man. Okay, imagine House of the Dead, which is a rail shooter with a bunch of zombies that run at you and you shoot them, right? Gal Gun is a game that takes place in a high school. It's an anime game. It takes place in a high school in the surrounding area, and you have a bunch of anime girls running at you, and you shoot them with your love gun to make them stop charging you. Because I've seen footage of this, and it's in Japanese, so I can't really figure out what the story is. Sometimes they seem to be rushing to confess their love to you with their little handmade bento boxes and their confession love notes, and you have to shoot them, and they go and they fall and do that thing. And some of the others just seem to be really mean, like they're coming to slap you, and so you shoot them with your love gun, and then they love you. My favorite part of the trailer is when one actually comes up to you and starts stomping on your crotch. And you're laying on the ground in first person looking up, and the character is just stomping where your crotch probably is. Oh man, is it funny. So this is called Gal Gun. I believe it's getting a worldwide release. Why am I bringing it up here? Well, because there's DLC for Gal Gun, and it's interesting. So let us go over the DLC for Gal Gun. Where did I put it? Okay, so for 500 yen plus tax, which would be a couple of dollars, you get the Hero's Clothes, which is kind of an RPG warrior outfit type thing that you can dress up some of the girls in and then shoot them with your love gun. For 500 yen, you can buy the Witch's Clothes, which is exactly what it sounds like. For another 500 yen, the Priest's Healing Clothes. It's what it sounds like. Dancer's Clothes. Think Shantae's genie dancer outfit. So that's 500 yen also. Additionally, you can buy them in all four costumes in a bundle for 1,600 yen, which would be like 10 or 12 bucks, I guess. In addition to that, you have 1,000 yen, which is $8 or so, for at least if the yen is at the value it was when I last looked a while ago. You can get the Angels Cutting Board DLC, which makes all of the female characters in the game fairly flat-chested. For an additional 1,000 yen, you can get the Demon's Meat Buns DLC to make all the girls in the games fairly large-chested. We're not done yet. In the game, I'm not sure how this works, or there's a like a lens of truth from Ocarina of Time. You remember the lens of truth? It would pull up this little reticle that you'd move around the screen to see secrets. In this game, you move it around the screen to make their clothing transparent so that you can see the color and pattern of their underwear, which is helpful somehow. I don't know how. But for 10,000 yen, which is something like $85, more than the actual game costs, you can get an item that doesn't just make their clothing translucent, it makes it completely transparent. So all the characters are essentially running around in their skivvies. 10,000 yen. Now this sounds like the developer said, I just want to see if anyone's going to buy this. This sounds like someone dared somebody to do this. It's like, what if we made DLC to make their clothing completely transparent? It's like, how much should we charge for that? Let's charge 10,000 yen for it. It's like, are you crazy? The game is only 8,000 yen. It's like, I just want to see if someone will buy it. So,
well, it's like the I don't know. This is a totally different comparison, but I remember when the iPhone first came out, you had the I'm rich button, which was like $1,000, and all it did was put a little icon on your phone with that had a jewel on there, and you touched it, and it opened up a window and said I'm rich, or something stupid like that, and people make the dumbest things, but yeah, this seems like it's just a matter of the guys just want to see, the developers just want to see how many people are actually going to buy this feature, and I'm sure they're going to get a number of people who will, but
dear chat, I have provided you a link to about a 9 or 10 minute YouTube video for this game. Enjoy. It is fascinating, and the game actually looks fairly complex. I mean, it seems to be. There's a lot of remember that witch touching game for the DS, I think, where you had to strip the witch and then poke and prod them with the stylus to find their witch mark or whatever, which actually kind of felt like you were molesting them to orgasm or something. This game seems to have that element too, where I guess if you hit the girls with your love gun enough, then you have to molest them until they really like you. I'm sure there's a language barrier here thing. I'm probably missing some nuance, but there's also seems to be some demon girl who's turning some of the girls against you, and that's why they're mad and getting all crotch stompy with you. But there's also there's this scene where there's this girl chained up against a wall in this very hellish looking landscape with these slimy demon tentacle tongue things licking her butt. And I guess shooting her with your love gun saves her or something, so that you can then rub her secret special spots for massive damage or something. I want to play this game. I have to know. Besides, I like rail shooters. Maybe wait for the Game of the Year edition, so I'm not having to pay over the cost of the game for all the DLC. But
I don't know.
Hal asks, "What's wrong with me? How do I come across these crazy things?" I'm well read. What can I say?
Andrew follows all the right people on Twitter.
That's right. So, dude, we didn't really have a point with this one. It's just something I thought was hilarious and had to share.
Yeah, it's just the seedy underworld of the game development industry. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, imagine if every game was like that. Oh man. So I don't know. If that sucker gets translated into English and hits the PS3, I might pick it up just to see what the hell's going on with that thing.
But Nintendo or Sony allow it though. That's just it.
Well, it is on the Vita and PS4, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah, because you use the Vita's touchscreen to poke and prod the girls, and you use the that small little trackpad thing on the PS4.
Sony Japan though has a very different standard for what games allow. Where the US, Sony America might look at that and say, that's not for us. Yeah, because it would likely get an AO rating and
Viper's pointing out there's another game where part of the game is or a big part of the game, and I forget what it's called. I think it's the one that has that really ridiculously long title. But there's a game where one of the major focuses is taking upskirts shots. And what's hilarious is I've seen some footage of the character is like on his back on the ground, and he's just kind of scooting along with his feet, just running along, taking pictures of girls' skirts.
What?
That's
insane.
Yeah, he's like laying back on the ground, and he's kicking with his legs against the ground to just kind of slide backwards across the floor to get under a woman to take a photograph up her skirt. It looks so goofy. It's amazing.
Yeah, that would be very goofy. But if you tried doing that in real life, you'd probably get your face kicked in by any number of people.
Yeah. When I did the guide for Bully way back in 2006, I think, I had a section of the guide, how to take upskirts in that game, which isn't actually part of the game. It's just something I kind of figured out how to do. And just Viper says, yeah, it's the one with the stupidly long title. I mean, like 3 or 4 sentences worth of title. It's a really long title. And Goth Skunk points out, if there's a market for it, regardless of what Western developers... I'm sorry. Hey, there is a market for it, regardless of what Western developers want to think. Yeah, I'd buy it. Just out of sheer morbid curiosity, mainly because we don't have anything like that here. If games like these were a dime a dozen or fairly common, I wouldn't really care. But since we don't have anything like this, that's what piques my interest. And it's so damn goofy, it's hard to take seriously. So I'd try it. Although I don't know how many of me there are. But if you make it region free and digital only, then that helps. You don't have to print discs and then worry about stock sitting there forever.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let us move on to one final topic. Oh God, we're past 7. All right. So, Super Mario Maker is causing some interesting YouTube problems. So, in Super Mario Maker, which is the Mario create your own Mario stage game. One of the popular types of stages is the automatic Mario type of stage, where all you have to do is either hold the run button or just stand there, and the stage will just kind of move Mario to the exit. So people upload these because they're so much fun to watch, just to see these elaborate Rube Goldbergian stages that move Mario through the level into the goal. Here's the problem. Is Playboy did a live... Yes, that Playboy did a live stream of Super Mario Maker. And Playboy automatically submits its stuff for Content ID. Well, it was playing one of these automatic Mario stages that Playboy itself did not make. It was just some guy named Alex or something. But it submitted this for Content ID. So what happened is other people, including Kotaku, who played this same level on a stream, got Content ID'd for it. Content ID saw it and slammed him for it, because the automatic Mario stages play out exactly the same way each time. So now, to Playboy's credit, it is handling all of the if that happens to you, just contest it, and Playboy has been, from what I've heard, been very good about saying, yeah, this is fine, and removing the claim. But Yeah, here we have another issue with YouTube's content ID system not doing exactly what everyone was expecting it to.
Well, and this is actually something that has happened in the past, not so much with video games, but with other things. Like, say, somebody will record like a police encounter, and and they'll post it to YouTube, and then a news station will use clips of that in that video in their own reporting, and then they'll upload their segment and content ID it, and then it'll content ID the original video. And so the creator of the original video that the news station used clips from gets their video claimed, and this kind of stuff happens so often, and the problem is Google has designed it this way. It's like the people who have the content ID accounts have all the power in these situations, even if they're not the original creator of the content they're claiming. And and it happens with music and other assets that people use, and you don't even have to actually use the stuff that they're claiming. It just has to make the claim that you're using the stuff they're claiming. And I think there was a story this past week of Dan Bull. He's a geek rapper out of England. He had he posts his videos and his music under a Creative Commons license, and so he encourages people to use his music in their own videos, and somebody used his music in a video, and then somebody else used it too, and that third person or whatever uploaded their video to Content ID, and it started claiming revenue from everybody, including Dan Bull himself, and caused a massive mess from all this. So it's Content ID is a complete mess, and Google really needs to just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because there's no fixing it outside of just getting rid of it. And so hopefully this is, well, there's really no hoping that this isn't going to cause any more problems, because we all know it is. Everybody that is going to have problems moving forward, especially with larger companies that have content ID accounts, are going to be wreaking havoc. But this does bring up an interesting point. Is Mario Maker included under Nintendo's revenue sharing program? I haven't even looked.
I didn't
yet.
look, but interestingly, we haven't seen any. As far as I've heard, nothing about Nintendo claiming any of the
Mario Maker stuff.
Mario Maker videos that are out there. So,
well,
let me.
Nintendo doesn't.
Let me turn on my lights real quick. Hang on.
All right. But Dan Bull's really awesome. So if you guys haven't watched any of his stuff, he does a lot of raps about video games, and he also raps about intellectual property stuff. He'll do open letters to politicians about certain issues, and he'll just rap the letter, which is really cool. And then he just does other really neat raps. So he did one that was a rap where every rhyme was a homophone. So that was really cool. I would love to see him rap palindromes, though. That would be awesome. And intelligible palindromes, too. I don't know if anybody's ever watched Weird Al Yankovic's Bob video.
Yeah.
That was really cool. That was all done in palindromes, but a lot of the palindromes were nonsensical. But I would like to see somebody do an intelligible song all done in palindromes.
Yeah.
Or the entire song in one big palindrome. That would be even cooler.
Yeah, there you go. So there was actually a Robot Chicken sketch where Batman is facing off against I think Palindrome, and who just speaks in all palindromes, which is pretty funny, because it's something where you almost, it's like, maybe I should turn on the subtitles and track this and make sure it's correct, or you want to write down and transcribe it and make sure it's actually right.
Yeah. Well, it's Etrigan. He's a character from the DC universe, and he speaks in rhyme. But I always thought it'd be really cool to have a character that speaks in palindrome. and that's all he can do.
Okay, well, I didn't want the podcast to go to 2 hours again, but I really need to cover some of this stuff because I'm never going to fit it into one video. So, next and last topic. I was on the Huffington Post earlier this week. The Huffington Post had a week's worth of segments discussing Gamergate, and they had a bunch of industry notables there, and then they had me. For no good reason. I don't know why they asked me to be there. But
because you're a fun guy to have around.
Because I'm a fun guy to have around. So there you go. Now, when I got off the show, I had hundreds of Twitter notifications, and about 4 dozen or so were actually questions and comments. So because Twitter is a horrible, horrible place to have a conversation, let alone actually keep track of what the hell, who is saying what to whom and when, I wrote down what all the comments were, and I'd like to go over some of the ones I think can actually prompt maybe an interesting discussion or story or something like that. And the rest I will try to put in a video that I'll try to do tomorrow. May not get it done because, man, did I have a lot of comments. So, let's start. Let's see. From I have no. I think Friday 13. And if I attribute these to the wrong people, I'm very sorry. I'm trying to keep all of it straight. Andrew Eisen said on a stream he doesn't understand why disclosure is important, and then went on to say that I laughed at the idea of disclosure. And then someone else, Harmchair, I think, said, seriously? Andrew, you remember that this cash could be Nintendo's vid? Imagine if Nintendo paid you for it, dude. So, yeah. Okay, I don't know which stream this person is talking about, but no, I do understand why disclosure is important in general. There are some types of disclosures that I don't see why they're important. For example, and to be facetious, I don't understand why I should disclose what I ate for breakfast this morning, generally speaking. But one of the things I remember talking about is I don't see why anyone is interested how I got a video game that I reviewed. Whether I got a review copy provided by the publisher or whether I bought it myself. I don't really get why that's interesting or why that's important, because in some ways it's okay, I got a publisher code from the publisher. It's like, well, you're more likely to give them a positive review because you got a code from the publisher. It was free. Okay, I bought it myself. Well, you're more likely to it's more likely to bias you because your own money is invested in this. It's like, how the hell do I get the game?
Exactly. And when it comes to that particular thing, in any of the reviews I put, in my disclosure statement that I made for the various websites I have, I put in there, it's like, hey, the games that I review here, they're either one, a publicly available free demo or free copy that I was able to get, or two, games that I bought myself, but it's like but I also put there, it's like, if I do get a free game from the developer or a publisher, I will put a note in there saying that, yes, the publisher gave me this game. Just because I think, if they give you the game, I think that's worth just mentioning that yes, that's, that's how you got it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm like, otherwise, it's either my own money that I paid for it or it's a publicly available demo. And that's what I reviewed. And usually if it's a demo, I will say that I'm reviewing the demo because that's a very different review than reviewing the entire game. But, for the most part, unless I'm given the game by somebody who developed it or published it, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, but I don't review games, so it doesn't really matter. But if my audience is like, Andrew, this is the type of, unless it's genuinely none of your business, like how my bowel movement was that morning before I wrote the review, I'm not going to disclose that. That's none of your business. But if my audience is like, Andrew, it's really important to us to know how you obtained the game that you're reviewing. Okay, yeah, I have no problem with that. So I think this particular user is confusing my opinion on why some disclosures are important with, I think this is stupid. I'm not sure, because I'm not sure what stream or what specific quote he's referring to, but disclosures are often very, very important because there are conflicts of interest and things that you need to disclose. So yeah, I'm not against disclosures. There are some examples where I'm like, we need to disclose that. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, for example, would I, if I ever wrote about Carolyn Cinders or David Rudin in the future, would I need to disclose the fact that I was on the Huffington Post with them? I wouldn't think so.
No, I don't think so.
It wouldn't occur to me to do that because
but this is another thing, with say Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that seems to be a touchy subject with a lot of people. It's like, you should disclose if you backed a Kickstarter, if you're writing about it. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I backed it $1 just so I could get all the updates? Do I need to disclose that? Or what if I backed it so that I actually got the game? Do I really need to disclose that? Do I have to disclose that I pre-ordered, Uncharted 4? If I wanted to write about Uncharted 4, I don't think so. But then again, like if you backed Kickstarter to where you actually got to put content in the game, I think that's worth a disclosure. You're going to be putting your own work into the game. But if you're just backing it to get the game and the soundtrack or whatever, I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think that needs to be disclosed. Because that's just like buying a game at GameStop. Do you really need to disclose that you bought the game at GameStop in order to review it and write about it?
Yeah, it doesn't strike me as something that needs to be disclosed, because I added a disclosure to an article earlier this week when I was pointing out the final segment of the Huffington Post Gamergate stuff, and I thought, do I need to disclose that I was on a segment on Tuesday? I don't know. Well, if I do, is that going to come across as I'm just tooting my own horn? Yeah. I don't know. I added it just to be safe. I mean, a lot of I base it on. I could have asked James, but he was out of town that day. So, I just put myself in the readership's shoes, and I'm a fan. I'm a reader, so I say, is this something that would be important to me to know? And if no, then I naturally think, well, this isn't something I need to disclose. But again, if my readership is saying these things are important for us to know, I'm totally cool with that. So I hope that answered whoever brought that up. As far as the person who's talking about the Nintendo "Why Won't You Give Me My Money" vid from 3-4 years ago, and imagine if Nintendo paid me to do that vid, I would find it, I'm being kind of facetious here, but I would find it kind of odd that Nintendo paid me to ridicule them on YouTube. Because I wasn't very kind to Nintendo in that video. I was kind of calling them stupid.
Yeah,
I don't know why they'd pay me to do that, but Nintendo, if you want to pay me to call you stupid, I will totally do that. Let's see. I think this is from Harmchair. He says, I think overall Gamergate would have been a lot less significant if not for these constant misrepresentations. Now, I think this person is referring to the general enthusiast press misrepresentations of Gamergate, and I agree with that. But I also think that goes the other direction, too. I think some in Gamergate have misrepresented other things that have happened, which have caused a mess in and of itself. So I don't think misrepresenting things is good for anybody. Now, sometimes it's a genuine mistake, and, own up your mistake, correct it, and move on.
Other times it's just straight up strawman and ad hominems. So... it's a very, there's a very wide array of these mistakes and stuff, and a lot of them are unintentional, a lot of them are intentional, and it's really frustrating too when there's a mistake, when there's a narrative that's being repeated over and over and over again that everybody knows that's wrong, yet it keeps getting repeated, and that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It's like the Zoe Quinn and whoever that was
Grayson.
on Kotaku, Grayson. It's like they kept talking about how Grayson wrote praising reviews of Depression Quest when he did no such thing.
Yeah.
He mentioned Depression Quest in one line of a larger article, a couple of times, and it's like that's hardly anything, and this was before,
before
the
Gamergate even had a name. Yeah. And I'll talk about more on. I had a lot of tweets talking about the whole Quinn Grayson thing, and I'll address that more in a subsequent video. So,
okay, moving on.
So moving on. Let's see. I got a couple that were similar to this. Look at how the Huffington Post is trying to cover Gamergate without even interviewing pro-Gamergate people right now in this interview, copying Andrew Eisen. I saw a few of these that seemed to be calling to my attention that there were no pro-Gamergate people on this particular interview. I'm not sure why people were bringing it to my attention, because I'm just a guest on the show. I have nothing to do with it. I didn't.
Well, and considering there was 4 segments altogether.
Yeah, I think a lot of the
people had pro Gamergate people on each.
Yeah, I think a lot of the folks who tweeted similar things at me were not aware that this is one of 4 segments, many of which will have staunchly pro Gamergate people on it.
Yeah, because this one, the one you were on, was specifically talking about not really the anti-Gamergate side, but it was presenting the non-Gamergate side of things.
More of the what is the perception of what Gamergate is.
Yeah, and then the 2 middle ones were more of the more of a neutral with the pro Gamergate mix in there, and then the final one was pretty much just pro Gamergate. Well, I don't know if you can.
Well, plus Koretsky.
Plus Koretsky, he was more of the neutral guy on that final segment.
I thought overall all 4 segments combined, I thought was an interesting look, and I thought it was fairly balanced, and I thought there was a pretty decent representation of different people for Gamergate, staunchly against it, people who are just kind of sitting there watching everyone else. Really, the only ones you didn't hear from were any of the journalists themselves at Ground Zero.
Yeah.
Now, I was one. Now, I'm an internet nobody, and I was actually one of the journalists who was contacted in the middle of August saying, "Oh my gosh, Nathan Grayson is writing a positive review of Depression Quest because he's sleeping with Zoe Quinn." I said, "Oh, okay." Me. Internet nobody, and I had literally 3 different people come to me with this. And I asked some of my other peers, and they said, "Oh yeah, we've had people talking to us about this stuff all day." So, but still, I don't consider myself a big Ground Zero. I don't think I have an entry on Deep Freeze, for example. I don't think I'm on there. James is. James is on there.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see. What else do we have here? Okay, this is an interesting one. How do you respond to someone like Ben Kuchera going after a person's job after a petty Twitter fight? This is how journalists act online. How is this acceptable? Okay, first, you know how a lot of people in Gamergate really don't like being painted with a broad brush? Yeah, I can't speak for everybody, but journalists don't like it either.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody likes that. So I'll go over what Kuchera did here in a sec, but saying that this is how journalists act, this is how Ben Kuchera acted in this case, and I'm sure there are other journalists who acted the same way. Don't lump me in. I mean, I'm barely a journalist, but still. All right. So So this person links to a Twitter archive, which is one of the worst things you can do because this is an absolute nightmare to follow. It's almost always out of context. You're almost always missing a bunch of other relevant tweets. So I looked into this as best I could and tried to get all the tweets and put them in order. So it's story time, kids. Let's see what happened back in the very end of December 2014. Ben Kuchera is an editor for Polygon. Tweeted, not at anybody specifically, just tweeted on his Twitter, said, just a heads up, if you want to debate hashtag Gamergate, it's an instant mute. That group has nothing to say I want to hear. Clean yourselves up. Then Red Hurricane 24, some other Twitter user, tweeted at Ben and said, just a heads up, if you spew propaganda against Gamergate, you're instantly a propagandist. Hence, nothing you say is interesting. To which Ben Kuchera replied, poor little gamer, unsmiley face emoticon. To which Red Hurricane replied, poor little smear merchant, do try to improve whatever ethics your journalism happens to lack. Think of the kids, unsmiley emoticon. Ben then said, Kuchera seems to have looked at Red Hurricane's Twitter profile, and apparently it had his employer, Dick's Sporting Goods, in the profile. So Ben responded, I'm going to call at Dick's, that would be Dick's Sporting Goods Twitter handle, tomorrow and explain why I'm not shopping there with my family anymore. Have a good night. And then he tweeted, hey Dick's, at Dick's, not hey Dick's, but hey at Dick's. I'm done shopping at your stores while employees like Red Hurricane 24 are attacking people online. And then he tweeted, Dear Dix, look up Gamergate, see at Red Hurricane 24's tweets, and ask yourself if that's how you want your brand to look online. And then he tweeted, if you attack people online and post your employer in your account, they're going to hear about it. You're representing their brand. Then someone completely different tweeted Ben, copying Red Hurricane 24 and Dick's, and said, I don't have a horse in this race, but it is kind of shitty getting someone's employer involved. To which Ben responded, and this account has been posting photoshopped pictures of Gamergate victims. It's gross. To which Red Hurricane responded, you want to involve my employer? Desperation is you. Then again, ... and links to a Breitbart article that talks about Brad Wardell, which is a whole other can of worms that we don't have time for.
Yeah.
Then Ben Kuchera said, Dear Dix, at Dix, of course, I'll be lodging a formal complaint tomorrow. He's still contacting me. To which Red Hurricane said, you cite harassment, yet I use your own narrative against you, and you want my employer to fear losing you? To which Ben said, he's continuing, Dix. He thinks you don't value me as a customer. To which Red Hurricane said, no, talk to me. Have some spine, like when you called me a child. I couldn't find that tweet. Kuchera said, Dear Dix. He's continuing this. Red Hurricane said, I'm talking to you, Kuchera. Don't ask my employer's attention. At least have some intestinal fortitude. Haven't heard that one since Jack Thompson. To which Ben replied, Dear Dix, your employee is continuing this. To which Red Hurricane replied, you can't scare me, not by a long shot, especially if you happen to write drivel about Tetris. And then he links a Reaxon article that criticizes Kuchera, who once tweeted that Tetris is has a political element because of its music. You know, the dun 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 dun. According to that article, that's not political music; it's a nursery rhyme or something. So, if that's right, then Kuchera had a lousy tweet. To which Red Hurricane then said, issued another tweet saying, Dear at Polygon, this is why I support hashtag Gamergate, because your bigwig wants to sabotage my employment. To which Ben Kuchera said, I'm going to block you now. Have a great day. So, as far as I can tell, that's the whole story, at least as much of it as I can find. So, What's my reaction to it? It's childish.
Yeah. I don't, Goth Skunk in the comments here, or the chat, says that what Ben did was unconscionable and he should have lost his job for it. No, I
disagree.
Don't think so. Yeah. If somebody is harassing you, you have a right to attempt to get that person to stop. And if the only way to get that person to stop is to alert somebody with authority over that person, such as their employer, that's what you got to do.
Well, to me, there is very little difference between a private individual contacting a public corporation and saying, I am not going to do business with you if you hire people who espouse opinions that I disagree with. That, to me, is pretty much the same thing as a mob of people organizing to mass email another public company to get them to pull advertising from a website who published an editorial that had opinions that they disagreed with. To me, that's exactly the same thing. If one's okay, then the other's okay. Personally, I think they're both kind of petty and childish.
Yeah, and this was a similar conversation that I had in the shout box on Game Politics about the comparison between Gamma Sutra and Intel and Gamergate versus that petition towards Target Australia to get them to pull GTA 5. It's like, okay, if one's bad and the other one's not, how does that work? They're the exact same action. So
it's trying to financially disincentivize someone for espousing opinions that you don't agree with, which is something that I just find, again, petty and childish. To me, it's the same thing as review bombing. I don't like what Cooper Lawrence said about Mass Effect on Fox News, so I'm going to give her book that I've never read a negative review. It's not illegal to do that, but it's just don't do that. To me, it's petty and childish, and I don't like that. Don't do that. Now, if you want me to play armchair whatever and say, well, this is what people should have done, here are my personal thoughts on this. Kuchera said, just a heads up, if you want to debate Gamergate, it's an instant mute. That group has nothing to say. I want to hear. Clean yourselves up. Red Hurricane 24 should have said, oh, okay, and then went about his day. Kuchera should have just muted him like he said he was going to do in the first place and went about his day. That's what I think people should have done, but no one's under any obligation to do what I think they should do. If you want to be kind of a childish dick online, I mean, I'd prefer you didn't, but and no, not all journalists behave like that. I'm a journalist, kind of. I don't behave like that, so yeah. Don't paint people with broad brushes. Gamergate, journalists, the YMCA. Not sure why I brought that up, but yeah, don't paint people with broad brushes. Just because some people are immature dipsticks doesn't mean everyone is. So, all right, let us move on to another. And I gotta let's see. Nope. No. Yes. Okay. So that was that one. Oh, okay. So from Forever Player 2, got Andrew Eisen on stream now. Said there were no ethical lapses. He might want to do SPJ Ethics Week next year at Koretsky. I don't know if you're talking about one of the Super Podcast streams or the Huffington Post thing, but I didn't say there were no ethical lapses like from anyone ever. There absolutely have been ethical lapses, and we've discussed many of them on the show.
Yeah.
Nathan Grayson did not review Depression Quest. That's true. You may think that a lot of people. Usually, the story today, if you go to Deep Freeze, the actual accusation is Grayson should not have written anything about Quinn or Depression Quest without disclosing that they were friends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's not the accusation from middle of August of last year, But that's a completely different thing and not what I was addressing on the show. But this brings up something else. I might want to do SPJ Ethics Weeks next year. If you're talking about Ethics Week or if you're talking about airplay, here's a fun fact. Koretsky was talking to me about back in, I don't know, May or June, about possibly being on one of the airplay panels as a representative of games journalists. Apparently, I scraping the bottom of the barrel right there. Apparently, I was, I guess, the only one who was willing to do it. My only concern really was no one wants me there. I think Gamergate probably would have been kind of pissed off if I was like, who the hell is this guy? And representing game journalists, Andrew, you're not taking us seriously, are you? And who could blame him for that?
Yeah.
But what it came down to is they just changed their airplay, changed its focus, and no journalists were there. No games journalists, anyway. So. Would I do airplay next year? Sure. Would I be involved with Ethics Week? Yeah, hey, awesome, sure. So that one's that one. Let's see. Oh, here's an interesting one from Drount. Okay, DROUWNT, Drount. Why not reach out to Gamergate before going on HuffPost? You could actually get something right. I think probably the biggest reason why I didn't reach out to Gamergate or anyone prior to going on to the Huffington Post is because I have no idea what they're going to ask me. So I wouldn't know what to reach out to anyone about. If I received a list of questions beforehand, if I knew what I was going to be asked and felt that I wasn't knowledgeable enough to speak on any particular points, I absolutely would reach out to who I felt were the appropriate parties and inform myself or learn more. But they said, hey, come on the show and we'll talk about Gamergate. I said, all right. So I didn't know what they were going to ask, so that's why I didn't reach out to anybody for clarification or information because, I have no idea what they're going to ask. And that's how these type of shows work. Anyone you see on being interviewed on Fox News and HuffPost and stuff like that, they know the topic, but generally they have no idea what they're going to be asked about. The broad topic, yes, but rarely do. For example, if I knew the first thing that Caroline Mataresi, the host of the show, I'm sorry, I forget her name. The very first thing she asked was about a poll I had run on Game Politics almost a year earlier. If I knew she was going to ask me that, I would have had that damn thing in front of me. Because I was, kind of going by memory because I had no idea she was going to ask that. So that's the reason why I didn't reach out to anyone about anything. So, Sean Mobsby says, I totally agree with your point about fear of the traditional gamer losing the games they love, but it isn't helped by franchises people love going mobile, sacrificing their old fans for shiny new ones. It's an interesting point. The game that immediately comes to my mind is what EA did with Dungeon Keeper. Although I think that's less the game sucks because we have new audiences we have to cater to, and more EA sucks and is trying to rip people off and make a quick buck. We've actually seen, well, for example, Tomb Raider Go came out this week or last week, and it's been getting some really nice reviews. People really seem to think it's a very good Tomb Raider game and absolutely captures the spirit of Tomb Raider.
I want to try it.
While at the same time, we still have the full AAA console and PC version of Tomb Raider coming later this year. So,
and the same thing with the the Fallout mobile game. Forget what that one's titled, but the one where you actually manage a vault, that looks really cool, and everybody loves playing it. And but when you look at Dungeon Keeper, that one was just EA just took all the crappy free to play behavior in the mobile sphere, shoved it into one game, and slapped Dungeon Keeper on top of it, and expected people to actually like it. And nope, people didn't like it at all.
So, although there is a concern with every time you have a new platform or new technology, developers struggle with it, and but I think the quality is always lesser when they're on new things, new
Yeah.
consoles, new platforms, new technology like VR. But I think once they get used to it, the quality will get back up. So it's an interesting point, but I don't feel that diversifying the audience and uh, the audience and the types of games that are out there
Hmm.
necessarily means that lower quality of our classic and loved franchises is going to be a continuous and irreversible problem. So those are my thoughts on that. Let's see, what do we have next? Okay, from Bazzy Jonesy. Bazzy Jones, I think so. Saying that everyone who plays any video games at all is an attempt to erase the gamer identity. I think what Bazzy is referring to is my contention that if you play video games, you are a gamer, which the dictionary totally supports me on, by the way.
That's
So
an appeal to authority, by the way.
you're right. You're right. So saying that anyone who plays any video games at all is an attempt to erase the gamer identity. No, I disagree. I think that's clarifying what the identity is. I think that's
Yeah.
broadening what the identity can be and can include. Now,
Yeah. See,
the
you know,
the the, the stereotypical core gamer who likes all the the plays hundreds of hours of hardcore game X, that can still be you. But but saying that another type of gamer who's a hardcore cookie clicker, I don't think erases your identity as a gamer. I don't believe that.
yeah.
I think both can exist harmoniously. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts, Zachary?
Well, my thoughts is that being a young industry, so to speak, we have come to approach this from the idea that our market is all based around the core gamer, the hardcore gamer, when in fact it's never been that. We had this kind of slump there in the middle where it was all enthusiast gamers, but at the very beginning and now we have these high marks where it's everybody's involved in gaming, whether they're playing Hearts Online or Minesweeper. They're a gamer if they play a game of any sort. And so where we've reached is that we have these group of core gamers who used to be the center of the gaming world, have now found out that no, they aren't the center of the universe. They're actually a satellite revolving around a much larger satellite, and taking the sun and the earth
Right.
into
But I
account
also
here.
don't think that
And
makes them any less important.
no, it doesn't. It's not at all. And I think where we're approaching is that we are approaching a time where we need to identify a label, if that's what they want, a label that defines them. Saying that everybody that goes to the movie theaters is a moviegoer. To say that belittles or dilutes the idea of the video file, somebody or the somebody who a movie critic or something, people would think you're crazy. It's like, if you go to the movies, you are a moviegoer, but if you're a videophile, you watch movies in a specific way.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with people who listen to music. People who listen to music, they're people who listen to music. If you turn on the radio while you're in the car, you are a music listener. But then you have audiophiles who listen to music in a specific way, and they do so. They spend a lot of money in order to watch or listen to music in this specific way. And so here we are in gaming. We have gamers as a whole, where everybody is a gamer if you play a game, but we have these certain segment of the gaming community who play games in a certain way. And I think and for my purposes, I call these people the hardcore gamer because they play in a very specific way. They play in such a way that they spend a majority of their free time and a majority of their free funds buying and playing video games, and they get the biggest TVs, they get the best audio equipment, and the biggest monitors, and buy $1,000 video cards, so that they can play games in the way that they enjoy it. So yeah, we've got these people, and Goth says everyone who has ever read a book is a bookworm, and no, that's not true. Everybody that reads a book or has read is a reader, but only those who spend the majority of their time and free time and free money reading books and searching out the best books and researching authors and stuff, those are bookworms. So it's the same thing with the hardcore gamer versus gamer as a whole. And so
So I don't think it does erase the gamer identity, nor do I think it's an attempt to. So
no, it's not.
Disagree there. From Scrump Monkey. Andrew Eisen, there is a reason game politics' traffic is in the toilet. The toys taken away line, you gonna call us duty heads too? I might. I do like I don't think I said toys taken away. I went ahead and transcribed the entire thing. So let me see what I actually said. Whoops. Yes. No. Where the hell is it? Okay. What I actually said was, I see that fear with a lot of people, that if we let other people in and share our toys with them, there will be less for us. Which is not the case. We can have all of our video games, our Call of Duties and Maddens and things that we've all loved and enjoyed for the past few decades, in addition to twine games and walking simulators like Gone Home, and mobile games and Candy Crush and Facebook games. So that's what I said.
Yeah. And that's totally true there too, because you've got there's always going to be those companies that cater towards you. Take the movie industry. You have your blockbuster tentpole movies, that they spend $200 million filming and marketing, and then and then they make 400, hopefully make 400 to $1 billion off of that one movie. But at the same time, they release chick flicks that they spend $20 million making, and then they make $75 to $100 million off of that chick flick. And that's where they actually make their real money, is off of these smaller budget films that they release throughout the rest of the year. If we were to judge the entire movie industry just off of the summer blockbusters, the movie industry would be in a very, very bad place. Yes, they would be making money, but they would be making money off of a small segment of people. Mm-hmm. And so it's a much larger risk. But because they have diversified their market using these smaller budget movies throughout the rest of the year, they can stay afloat for much longer. And that's where the games industry is coming to terms with. They finally realize that we can't survive for much longer if all we make are AAA blockbuster video games. We have to diversify, and that's where we're seeing a lot of game publishers doing that. They either play it safe, like Ubisoft, where they make, or Activision, where they make yearly franchise games like Call of Duty every year, Assassin's Creed every year, and so on and so forth. Or you get companies like Nintendo, where they make a couple of big games a year, and then they make all these quirky little titles for throughout the rest of the to fill out the rest of the year, and that's something that the games industry as a whole needs to do. Mm-hmm. So those blockbusters won't go away. We'll just have more games on the fringes, to enjoy.
All right. From Aces Are High. Got a lot of great Twitter names. So, Andrew Eisen, let's get something straight. The core audience will always dictate the market. No one is afraid of new or diverse games. I'm glad to hear that. You shouldn't be afraid of new or diverse games
No.
because you'd be a duty head otherwise. What do you think about the idea of what was the phrasing? The core audience will always dictate the market. I think in some ways that's true, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of where the market heads is also dependent on the creators. Because sometimes the creators create stuff that the market isn't demanding because the market didn't know it even wanted that. So I think there's truth to that, but I think if creators only serviced what the core audience wanted, things would stagnate and get very boring. So
yeah, I think the core market is going to continue to have a very strong influence on the AAA blockbuster tentpole games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your Call of Duties, your Assassin's Creeds, GTA's, Battlefields. Those games are all going to continue to be influenced by what the core gamers want, but the publishers are going to start publishing games and developing games that don't appeal completely to that core gaming market. You know, I myself, you know, I don't play anything like that. I don't play Battlefield, Call of Duty, or anything like that. You know, I play a variety of other types of games, and you know, to be honest, there's not a lot of games on the PS4 or the Xbox One right now that appeal to my taste, and so I probably won't be buying those for at least 4 years, maybe 5 years.
Right.
But you know, because by then they'll have a large enough segment of games that I actually enjoy. But yeah, so I consider myself a core gamer. I just don't consider myself a hardcore gamer, I guess. So
I am playing the
do,
crap out of Shantae and the Pirate's Curse.
yeah.
Hard.
Well, and I'm playing the crap out of Minecraft right now. So you know, it's like
and you're ate my save file. I'll just start over. That's hardcore. Yeah. So I think creators. Where was it going? Oh yeah, so even though creators will at times try new things, the market still will tell them whether they want those new things or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes creators try new things, and like Nintendo says, "Here's a new thing," and everyone goes, "Nope," and Nintendo goes, "Oh, well, nuts.
We tried." Yeah,
and I'm glad they try. Some people want to see Nintendo go away. I hope not. Nintendo doesn't always work, and sometimes their ideas are really stupid, but I'm glad they're out there making stupid ideas, because sometimes they just knock it out of the park. A lot of the things we take for granted in gaming today were maybe not exactly pioneered by Nintendo, but were perfected and popularized by them. So I would hate to lose that.
You take Smash Brothers, and to be honest, the four player consecutive fighting genre still isn't a very big one, but the games that do come out in that genre are very popular. You know, Smash Brothers is the top of the chart, but like Towerfall, that one's another very popular one. That's a 4-player consecutive arena fighter, and people love it. And so I'm very surprised that we don't have more of those out there. I've got PlayStation Heroes around here somewhere, which is more. It's kind of a Smash Brothers and Mario Party and stuff kind of mixed together, but I still need to actually break that out and play it. But I've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Smash Up on the Wii, which is a very terrible game. It's crap, but my kids like playing it, so and that's another 4-player arena fighter. So, yeah.
Okay, last question, although not the last tweet I received, but the last one we'll talk about tonight is from Mitsu Reiji. Am I reading that right? Mitsu Reiji. Watching HuffPost Live, I have to disagree with Andrew Eisen on one point. It's not the quantity will decrease, it's the quality does. This is similar to one we already addressed. I should have grouped those together. Sorry about that. But that it is a concern that the quality. We talked about this earlier with things like Dungeon Keeper was crap, but it wasn't really a bad Dungeon Keeper. I think Dungeon Keeper could absolutely work on mobile, and if there weren't a bunch of microtransactions and runes didn't take 8 hours to build, I think it would have been a great game. But again, we have I think Hitman Go actually got some pretty good reviews too. But Tomb Raider Go is popular. We have we have the full Rise of the Tomb Raider coming out. So I think it's definitely lower quality is a concern every time we have new technology, new platforms, new things to play with.
I think when it comes to quality, though, I think this person's probably referring to dumbing down things, to attract new audiences. Like say Mortal Kombat released with
the Silent Hill
combos.
pachinko machine.
Yeah, or with Mortal Kombat, it's like what if the fatalities were all one button fatalities? It's like that's the kind of dumbing down and lack of quality that these people are afraid of. And to be honest, I don't think it's going to happen.
Like one of the previous people mentioned, the core market's going to drive, because I think the core market would roundly reject Warner Brothers doing that to Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
you saw a little bit of pushback even with the optional microtransaction, easy fatality things. I think if Mortal Kombat 11 came out and it was push a button to do a fatality, I think people would throw a fit, and you wouldn't see that again in.
I think an example of this would be Final Fantasy Mystic Quest for the Super Nintendo. Where the Final Fantasy games, people got to know and recognize a specific quality of gameplay, style of gameplay for a Final Fantasy title, and then Final Fantasy Mystic Quest came out, and it was basically a baby's RPG, and the market roundly rejected the title. And it's like, this is not Final Fantasy. We hate it, and it bombed. It was a terrible game, and it was received poorly, and surprisingly, it still sells for like $15 in most game stores. I don't know why. I think it's just because there's not as many in the market as other games, so that's why it still demands a slightly higher price. But people buy it for nostalgia and completion's sake, for a Final Fantasy collection. But nobody ever it's always the last Final Fantasy title on their list of best to worst games, Final Fantasy games. So.
Okay, so that's all the Twitter questions we're going to cover tonight. That's not all of them. I think that's only half of them, maybe. I'll try to cover the rest in a video, and I'll try to do that tomorrow. I may not, though, because I may want to play Shantae. So anyway, thank you, everyone on Twitter who had questions, comments, and things like that. I do apologize for not responding to everyone on Twitter, but I don't like having conversations on Twitter. Of course, we're not having a conversation. I'm talking at you, but there's YouTube comments are fine. Anyway, thanks for all the attention. Oh, I love attention. Anyway, this is 2 hours, so we're gonna cut it off now. So Andrew Eisen here, Eisen is the last name. Plug it into YouTube. You'll find my YouTube channel and all my silly videos. At Andrew Eisen is where I am on Twitter, and Andrew Eisen YouTube is my Facebook page. So follow, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, and if you can follow my game development work, DK_gaming on Twitter, DivineKnightGaming.com. If you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, it's OK Game Devs on Twitter and OKGameDev.com. And finally, if you're interested in some not so serious stuff, check out Rusty Outlook on Twitter and RustyOutlook.com. So there you go.
Yeah. People are commenting on the stripper pole of Stuffed Toy Shadow. Yeah, I know. It's over there. So anyway, that's our show for tonight. Laxer's pointing out that Shantae more important than Andrew's Twitter followers. It does kind of sound like that, doesn't it? But, I actually do have some other things to do tomorrow. Producing a video like that is more complicated. If you're not a video producer, I understand why you would think, just sit in front of the camera, answer the damn questions. It takes you half an hour. What? it's more complicated than that.
It took us 45 minutes to get through, what, 6 questions?
Yeah. That project is pretty much going to be an all-day thing. It's probably going to be a 6 to 8 hour thing from setting it up to shooting. I'm probably not going to script it because I don't want to script and memorize it. But shooting it and uploading it and editing it, and that's a lot of clips. And I'm going to have clips from the actual Huffington Post interview because I need to reference in a few of them what I actually said. So if I don't get that done on Sunday, I do apologize. It's going to be out tomorrow at the earliest. So keep an eye on my YouTube channel. I will do it. But I may not get it done tomorrow. And if I don't, I apologize. Sorry for the wait. I'm just kind of still amazed that anyone gives a shit what I think. I've been doing this for 10 years and I am still totally not used to people caring what I have to say. It's so weird. Anyway, thank you for watching Super Podcast Action Committee episode 156. We'll be back next week with 157. So in the meantime, send us email at superpackpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at superpackpodcast and like us on Facebook. And we will talk at you next week. Take care.
All right. See ya.